Keep in mind, they're married for almost 30 years, and they have 8 kids together. Again, never loved her the way he loved Gypsy. Back with us, our attorney, Dan Schorr. Dan, important point or just a headline for us to talk about?
These are all important points because they show that after his wife died, he's doing all sorts of things that are inconsistent with someone who's mourning the death of their spouse. He's changing his wedding ring about a week later. He's receiving sexting from Gypsy, who he's having an affair with, and yet he still asks her to move in with him shortly after. At the funeral, he's acting kind of happy, according to some of the witnesses. And then you have this testimony that he's very soon after the death saying that he never loved her. And even if that was true, it's not the type of thing that an innocent person generally says about their spouse who just died. So this is all this is all inconsistent with someone who had nothing to do with her death. However, we still have the problem from the prosecution standpoint that no medical examiner has found this to be a homicide, and the prosecution has to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. They've proven beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is not a good person, that he acted very inappropriately, and that there's a lot of strange behavior in the way he acted after the death. Can they convince the jury to convict on a murder charge? That's to be seen.
Does it change the filter by which the jury looks at him? You know, they may not like him. There's a lot not to like here when you hear all that's going on. I mean, even at the funeral, he barely even talks about Michelle, and yet a couple of months later, he's at this extravagant engagement party professing his love and dropping to a knee for Gypsy.
Right, because when the jury looks at him and decides whether he's guilty or innocent, if they don't like him, if they feel he's a bad person, they're more likely to think that he did commit the crime of murder. However, there are plenty of people on trial who have done very bad things, and defense attorneys then get up at the end of the trial and say, look, my client is not a good person. I'm not asking you to like him. I'm not asking you to take him home for dinner. I'm asking you to not convict him of murder because the prosecution hasn't proven that beyond a reasonable doubt. And you can expect that type of closing from the defense at the end of this case.
Got it. Well, let's talk about some of the evidence. We could veer into that area with Ada's taped interview with the Children's Justice Center. She's 7 years old. Again, at 6, she finds mom's lifeless body in the tub. At 7, she's basically recounting what she found. How important is that evidence-wise, Dan?
First of all, it's very sad because here is a girl who found her mother dead, had to recount it soon after, and now is going to be on the stand having that video played, and then presumably being crossed about it in closing arguments. In cross-examination. Now, whoever finds the body first, that has an emotional impact for the jury because they could describe how the body is found. Also, the reports from other people besides the defendant, including this daughter, are that the body was found in one way, lying in the tub with her head on one side and the feet on the other. That contradicts what the defendant has said, is that she was slumped over the bathtub with her head in the water. So if he is lying about where the body was, or moving the body, or tampering with the clothes, or as some other witnesses suggest, faking performing CPR after he finds her, these are all things that are very inconsistent with an innocent spouse finding their dead wife.
Yeah, well, and again, just to dig a little further with the evidence here, you know, Ada says mom's fully clothed. And I think we're going to hear that in that taped interview, but yet others say, you know, Michelle had no bottoms on, just a top on. Then you have Rachel testifying that mom's wet, bloody clothes are just thrown in the garage. And then that her dad requests that she washes them, basically washing evidence. Does that all add up, or is that too far for a jury? You're asking too much of a jury if you're the prosecution.
I don't think that's asking too much. If you can show that he changed what she was wearing and then tried to tamper with the evidence, that is very powerful evidence. All of this goes to consciousness of guilt and also the conclusion of a plan to kill. And the prosecution will have to lay out all these facts and then in summation really explain how they all connect, that you can't believe his version of events, that it seems that he has changed what she was wearing, that he might have tried to destroy some of the evidence, that other people contradict him, and their conclusion in closing arguments is going to be beyond a reasonable doubt. This is not the way an innocent person acts, and therefore that's why you should convict him.
All right, coming up, heartbreaking testimony. It's an interview. 7-year-old Ada, who has found her mom dead in the bathtub. What will she say? How will it impact this case? That's coming up. Stay with us.
Welcome back, all the sweet things your family loves, with 0-calorie monk fruit in the raw. It's made with